Large oversized cloth mold mats for your demolding stations. Super extra long silicone mold mats for your injection stations. Extremely bougie stir sticks for when you're mixing your plastisol and your soft plastic colors. And we paired up with Garrett from Active Catch, 2 different crankbaits in 2 super sick paint jobs, absolutely drenched in 8-Bit Baits Hollow Shift for our very first collaboration bait drop. This is what's new this week from 8-Bit Baits. What's going on, all my fellow bait chuckers out there? My name is Michael. Welcome back to the channel. Geez, with an intro like that, I kind of feel like Ben from Hook Up Tackle. Cheers, my friends, because we got some products we're dropping today. Ooh, that is crisp on a Sunday morning. Alright, so I know this isn't the typical bait making video. We do have some new products to announce, as well as a really sick bait drop, our first bait drop ever. And I'm going to start to introduce newer content into the channel to bring you more content in addition to kind of the semi-weekly bait making videos. I have a few bait makers showcases that I want to sprinkle in over the course of the next few weeks. And we are bringing back Sunday night live streams because, hey, we're in fall season, it's football season. That means we're home on Sundays and we should be live streaming. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you're not already. Turn on those notifications because you are not going to miss when we go live. We're hanging out here in the bait shop on Sunday nights during the fall and winter, and lots of people show up. We have a great time, very interactive with chat. I'm typically pouring baits that the chat wants to see poured, so this is your chance to come and have fun with the rest of the bait chuckers. So let's get into the bait drop. Now, a while ago when I updated the 8-Bit Baits website, you saw that I put a whole section on there for bait drops. Now, the plan moving forward is definitely to start doing some soft plastic bait drops. You've seen me tease the shooting star on Instagram. You've seen the new packaging. We're kind of taking all the necessary steps. I have the hot plate and I'm staring at my air vise right over here. So we're getting prepped up to do larger batches and drops of some really sweet soft plastic baits that are going to include some, you know, hard to find colors back here, as well as some nice 8-bit hollow shift colors. But for my first bait drop, I decided to do a collaboration with my buddy Garrett over at Active Catch. Now, Garrett does some of the sickest paint jobs that I've seen on hard plastic baits, and he went ahead and decided to pair up with me, and we have another partner joining us as well, Vector Hooks. So a huge shout out to the team over at Vector Hooks. So Garrett, as I sat down with him, I told him, you know, I really wanted to do something that can show off the hollow shift powders. A lot of people use them in soft plastic baits, but they can also be used in an airbrush to paint your hard baits as well. And I really wanted to kind of show that off. So I worked with Garrett and we came up, you know, we couldn't really decide. So you end up with 4 baits here. Basically, there's 2 styles of baits. There's a square bill. We have a 2.5 square bill here, and then a medium diver, which is my favorite style of crankbait to throw. So Garrett likes to paint Lucky Craft blanks. So the 2 blanks we have here, one is an LCDD DRSKO, and this is going to be in the 1.5 size, ½ ounce with a rattle, and then the square bill is going to be the LC square bill KO 2.5, also ½ ounce. So there's basically 2 baits, a square bill and a medium diver, and 2 different colorways. And we'll get into the colorways here in a second, but basically Molten Craw and Sylvanus Shad. But there's a limited number of all these. You know, I mean, I gotta buy all these up front. Garrett has to do the work. So there's only going to be 96 baits total. I mean, there was 100, but I'm obviously going to keep a set for myself. But we have 24 baits available of each color, and they are live on the website right now. If you are watching this video, these baits are live on the website. We only have 24 of each one, so once they're gone, they are completely gone. So this is your chance to get some custom painted baits with 8-Bits hollow shift powder. The first colorway we'll go over is the Sylvanus Shad. Now, talking with Garrett, there were two patterns I wanted. One was a shad pattern, getting ready for the shad spawn in fall, especially as all the fish are starting to heat up. And then as we kind of come out of winter into spring, everyone's going to be throwing the red crankbaits, so we obviously wanted a red craw color. I mean, craws always do good here on the California Delta, but springtime is really when you want to be throwing that red. So starting off with the Sylvana shad, we have an awesome shad pattern here. It is kind of a white base coat. There's some silver spots across the body. It kind of, you know, almost fits two general profiles. It kind of fits a crappie as well as a shad. Now the belly is going to feature the Sonic hollow shift powder. So even though it's a white background, you get that super deep blue reflectivity on the belly. And then the back, we have a black scale pattern, and that is covered over with Sylvanas hollow shift powder. So we get the amazing hologram effect from the hollow shift powder and that amazing deep blue to deep purple color shift. So as this bait comes ripping through the water, it looks just like a dying or fleeing shad with that color change across the back. Sylvanas is just an awesome complement to a shad color. It does extremely well for me when I make slick swims out of it, and so I think it should do very, very well in this awesome shad pattern. I even like what he did with the kill dot here. It's kind of got like a white background and then that little tiny spot of black there. I mean, this just looks awesome in both the medium deep diver as well as the square bill. Again, sizable baits, half ounce, plenty of surface area to show off that color shift. And I mean, fish are just they're gonna gobble these up. You know what? I'm just gonna take this out of the package here and show you. I mean, take a look at that. That is just absolutely awesome. Sick paint job. Awesome job, Garrett. Really, really cool. Sylvana shad, awesome colorway. Now, the molten crawl colorway, I mean, you got to go with the red craw, right? One of my favorite crawdad colors to throw is Lava Truce by 6 Cents, and that's kind of the inspiration. I told Garrett to take it from there. And so we have a Lava Truce style craw pattern here, kind of that bright chartreusey green yellow on the belly, but the entire thing is coated in molten core hollow shift powder, and the back is heavily sprayed more than the belly. So showing off just the beauty of the hollow shift powder, how at some angles it can be completely transparent, but then at other angles when the reflectivity hits it and it pops, I mean, it just has that awesome reddish orange copper colorway, and then as you move to the other extreme angles, you get that green and yellow on the extreme angles. Such a really cool color shifting color. Molten core, absolutely one of my favorites. So when the springtime rolls around, and even right now, I mean, I'm going to throw this weekend. This is going to do absolutely killer. I'm just super impressed with Garrett's skill sets with the airbrush. Awesome job, Garrett. This collab not only helps us here at 8-Bit Baits, but it also helps out smaller bait makers like Garrett. So all the proceeds from this bait drop is just going to go right back into the very next drop so we can do more baits and an even bigger drop. So ideally, if we keep this up, you know, over time, I think we could come up with some pretty sweet bait drops from some awesome bait makers that you might not have heard of before. All right. Next up, this is a product that's been out for a couple weeks now. These next set of products have been out for a couple weeks, but I wanted to do a video just kind of showing you what my intention was and kind of what my thought process is behind kind of bringing these to market. Now, these launched a couple weeks ago. As mentioned, if you were signed up to the Squid Squadron email, you got that email 2 weeks ago. So all those people have already placed their orders. Now it's time to do kind of the official launch video. First up, we have cloth mold mats. Yep, and if it looks like a giant mouse pad, well, that's because it's basically a giant mouse pad. I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm not trying to do anything special here. This is an oversized mouse pad. If you've watched my videos, you've seen on my workbench, behind my keyboards, I like oversized giant mouse pads. You know, these butcher block style workbench tops, They're very expensive, and I like to protect them, especially when I'm dropping molds and banging things around. You need some way to protect them, otherwise that wood's just going to get completely chopped up, which is going to lead to scratches in your molds as well over time. So even if you don't have a big fancy, wood block, bench top, I see in a lot of folks on YouTube and Instagram, their bait stations are just pieces of particle board or plywood. Everyone's using whatever they got, which is totally understandable. So I like to use just a mouse pad on my demolding station. When I'm taking apart my baits, I just like a nice soft cushioned surface for the molds to slide around on. It's not going to damage my molds. It's not going to damage my workbench. Everybody's happy. Now, even though these are just mouse pads, they have this sweet graphic on here. Special shout out to my graphics team. And they are heavy duty, all right? So even though it is just a mouse pad, it's 3 mil thick, heavy duty, non-slip rubber on the bottom. And it has a beautiful heavy duty cloth cover with full direct to fabric printing. So ultra high resolution print there. Looks really, really cool. Priced accordingly as well. The smaller of the two, which is still oversized, I mean, they're both oversized. The small one is 24 inches wide by 14 inches tall. That runs $14.99 on the website. And the larger one is 36 inches wide by 16 inches tall, and that runs $19.99 on the website. Again, priced just like if you were to go to Amazon and search for mouse pads. It's right in the ballpark. It's nothing fancy. If you don't want a giant 8-bit, logo, hey, that's cool. That's cool. You can just get a plain old mouse pad off Amazon. But, if you want to be one of the cool kids, I'm just saying. So that brings us to the other mold mat, silicone. And mega oversized. This is the 36 inch by 16 size. These come in the exact same sizes as does the cloth mold mats. So what's the reason for the giant mold mats here? Well, the reason behind it is this is a silicone non-slip surface, right? Heavy duty cloth mesh in the middle. Might look like an oversized baking sheet because, again, that's exactly what it is. It's an oversized baking sheet. Now, again, you can go to Amazon. You can get yourself some baking sheets. None of them are going to come in these large oversized. They're going to be tiny. They just to fit inside of a baking sheet. And I've seen a lot of folks actually use these baking sheets lined up. They have 2 or 3 stacked out in a row. And to me, that's no good. I need one that's going to cover my entire work surface. So we have long ones here. My work surface, I use the 24 inch by 14. This covers my work surface perfectly. And the long ones are even long enough to where you can place your air vise on here so it won't slide around, and you still have room on the edge to mix your mixing cups. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, what's the purpose of this at your mixing station? Now, while you can argue that the cloth mold mat is a bougie accessory, which it absolutely is, along with the stir sticks, and we'll get to those in a minute, there's actually some really awesome safety benefits from using a silicone mat at your mixing station. First of all, it's non-slip. So partly why we call it a mold mat is because your aluminum molds are going to stick to that along with your Pyrex cups. The benefit to that is anyone who's tried to shoot a mold that's off balance, maybe your clamps aren't wrong, you put just a little bit too much pressure in your downward injection and that mold is just going to wipe out. It's just going to wash right out from underneath you if you have a slippery work surface, wood. A lot of people are using melamine countertops like this one is right here. Very slippery, and aluminum just glides right on that. Some people may like that, totally awesome, but too much pressure and that mold's going to wash out from underneath you. So right off the bat, it's going to prevent your molds and anything else on it from really kind of slipping around. Similar with your Pyrex cups. When you put your Pyrex cup in there, how many times have any of you pulled a Pyrex cup out of the microwave and you start to try and spin it, and then the cup starts spinning and moving as well over your countertop and work surface? That's not going to happen. When you set this down, it's non-slip on this mat. Your cup's not going to move. So when you stir it, your cup's not going to move. It's going to stay locked right there until you pick it up and move it. This is also going to help a little bit with tipping over as well. Because the Pyrex cup isn't going to slide, it's going to grip itself and have a tendency to fall right back centered where the center of gravity is with all of the plastisol in the middle, saving yourself from a very dangerous spill of 350-degree plastisol. Ain't nobody want that to happen. And speaking of the hot plastisol, it also acts as a heat barrier between your Pyrex and your cold countertop. A lot of times people will pull their cup out of the microwave, they'll stir it, you can set it on a cold countertop, and that cold countertop is going to cause that Pyrex cup to rapidly cool. And even though these are borosilicate glass, if that heat exchange is too fast and the bottom of that glass cools too quickly, it can shatter your Pyrex cup. Happens all the time. It's all over the forums. This is why we all tell you don't wear open-toed shoes when you're pouring baits. If this thing shatters and plastisol goes everywhere, you better watch out. Partly why I wear a heavy-duty leather apron when I'm making baits. So if something were to spill or splash on me, I'm largely protected from the hot plastisol. I've burnt myself once on my hand. This stuff does damage instantaneously. 2nd degree style, sometimes 3rd degree style burns. It can be extremely dangerous. 350-degree plastisol is no joke. So silicone mold mats providing a few different safety benefits as well as, again, just, looking cool. I mean, all the cool kids are doing it. And last but certainly not least, and by far and away the most bougie accessory I have in my shop, fancy stir sticks. I mean, these are frosting spatulas from Atico, to be more precise. Now, I honestly think one of the things that has made me stand out from a lot of other YouTubers here is that you've seen me use these wood-handled spatulas. Most everyone uses a butter knife of some kind. Those work perfectly fine. I'm not dogging on the butter knife gang. If you're using butter knives, I get it. They are dirt cheap. You can grab them from the kitchen for free. I totally get it. These stir sticks, they're not cheap. These small ones run $5 a pop. The big ones, they run $8 a pop. That is not cheap. But why do I use it? Well, when we're mixing plastisol, a couple things you got to keep in mind. We're trying to minimize bubbles. Using a butter knife with that serrated edge, using anything with a serrated edge, when you stir, it's going to cause turbulence and you're going to mix in micro bubbles into your plastic. I don't care if it's in liquid form before you heat it up. I don't care if it's in gel stage. I don't care if it's already melted together and bonded at 350 degrees. When you're using your butter knife and you're stirring it in, you're adding bubbles by agitating and causing turbulence, even with those micro ridges there. So having a smooth stir stick is going to eliminate, well, it's not going to fully eliminate, but it's going to severely minimize the number of micro bubbles that you introduce into your plastisol. Now, the other key thing is when we're mixing up our plastisol during our reheats, we need to scrape the sides of the cup. Now, with a butter knife, you have a curved edge, but you don't really get a lot of surface area when contacting the side of the Pyrex cup. So when you go to make that swoop and kind of, clean off the edges, you're not going to get it all in one shot. You have to do it several times. It usually sticks. The straight side doesn't work because it can't bend. There's not a lot of flexibility in those butter knives, whereas these frosting spatulas, they're bendy. Why is that? Because the frosting spatula is designed to work specifically with the Pyrex. The only reason I know this is because growing up, my best friend's mom was a cake decorator, and we used to lick the frosting all the time, and all the cake decorators, they make small batches of frosting in all the different colors in Pyrex cups, and they used frosting spatulas because with one fell swoop, they can scoop around and clear the entire Pyrex cup and get all the frosting they need. Also, the rounded tip on the edge of your frosting spatula here is the exact same dimensions and curvature as the bottom of your Pyrex mixing cup. So when you go to scrape it around, again, because frosting spatulas were meant to work with Pyrex style measuring cups in the bakery, you can swoop around and you can cover all the edges. You get one fell swoop, one turn, you've cleared the entire rim of your Pyrex cup, mixing all your plastisol, making sure you don't burn it, everything's evenly heated, just making for an overall better color mix, in my opinion. Now, again, is it bougie? Yes, absolutely, it's bougie. Wood-handled, insulated, Japanese stainless steel, it's certainly bougie. But you buy one for $5, it's gonna last you forever. Just like your butter knives. Your butter knives are gonna last forever too. Again, not dogging butter knives. I just, being a product manager, working in product, I like to search out for the absolute best tools possible. And to me, right now, this is my ultimate solution right here. Now, you can get these on Amazon for $5 a piece. So I reached out to Atico and they were awesome enough to set me up as a distributor. So we could sell them right here on the 8-Bit Baits website now. So I have the pricing matching exactly what you find on Amazon. The small one here, the 4.5 incher, this goes for $5 a piece, and this is good for your 1 cup and your 2 cup size measuring Pyrex cups. The larger king size, as you can see, which is significantly bigger, this is the big 6 inch here. This is going to be more for your 4 cup and your 8 cup Pyrex dishes. Again, flexible Japanese stainless steel, curvature to match the curvature inside of the larger Pyrex cups. This is the way to go, in my opinion. Wood handles, heat's never going to transfer, you're never going to burn yourself. Just take a little bit of worm oil, seal up that wood, you are good to go. Again, Atico stir sticks, now available at 8bitbaits.com. Something about using these sticks, it's nice. Don't knock it till you try it. All right, and there you go. Some awesome new products available over at the 8-Bit Baits website. Again, I know this isn't your typical bait chugging video, but we had some new products I wanted to get released. Wanted to tell you all about it. We have some awesome videos coming up, and live streams are going to be starting here on the channel. Not only are we going to be going live Sunday nights, but I also plan to go live in the afternoons, okay, throughout the week as well. I got some orders coming up, and I got to make for some folks that are going to be using these in tournaments. So I figure, let's just go live. I want to start going live more. I really enjoy doing the live stream content. I think you all enjoy it too. Those of you that show up, I mean, what we had before we stopped last time, we had over 100 people join in, right? Like, that's huge. So if we can get all the bait makers together, join up in the live streams, I think it's going to be a real good time. So again, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Smack the thumbs up. Okay, really appreciate it. Helps the algorithm. Just drop a comment. Just say hello down below. I mean, just for interactions. Leave an emoji for engagement purposes. Until next time, y'all. You know who it is. Your friend on this end, Michael, out here around these Delta sloughs, reminding you to keep on chucking. I'll get back with you.